Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at something that isn't gunpla for a change, but it is Gundam related. These are the Gundam Military Generation ZEON soldiers by MEGAHOUSE. The minute I saw these, I was super hyped because this is such a cool idea. We always see the mobile suits and the main characters from Gundam, but we never really get to see the on-the-ground troops, so this is pretty cool. We will be getting some Federation ones sometime in the future, maybe a month, maybe 2 months away, I don't remember. And if you want some of these of your own, once again, this video right here would not have been possible without those absolutely awesome people over at Hobbylink Japan, so I'll throw links to all of these down there in the description. Now here we go. So before we take a look at these ZEON soldiers themselves, let's take a quick look at the boxes. So each of these comes with its own unique set of accessories, and then some bonus parts that if you buy all 3 of these, you do get a heavy machine gun. So standard Soldier 1 comes with 2 different choices of head, helmeted and not helmeted, a whole bunch of various equipment. Soldier 2, just like with Soldier 1, comes with a whole bunch of equipment. We seem to have some kind of backpack. And once again, we've got 2 different heads, so that does mean if you buy 2 of this guy, you can have 2 different looking dudes, so that is a pretty cool extra. And finally, in the Soldier 3 box, we do get 2 different choices of head again, or maybe it's just a helmeted head and a non-helmeted head, as well as a bunch of unique accessories. Anyway, let's check them out. Inside of these boxes, we've got 2 plastic containers, one containing the figure as well as its hands and head, and the other side then is all of the equipment. Let's check it all out. Also, there's a bit of the mold left over on this particular rifle right here, so I'm not sure if this is a feature or a mistake, but gonna have to snip that off. So anyway, there's that little Zeonic squad out of the box. Nothing added, nothing changed. This is them, just out of that plastic. These things look so good for how small they are. I will mention though, they are tiny. I'll do a size comparison very soon, but they must be about, I don't know, 4 inches tall? So the amount of detail they crammed into these little guys is crazy. Also, I will mention that it's kind of hard to tell what rank these guys are. It's somewhere between cadet and petty officer according to this here chart someone made. Thanks to whoever made that, by the way. But because there is nothing on their collars, it seems like you cannot tell what rank that they are. I'm going to assume though if they're on the front lines like this, they're somewhere towards the bottom. So as for a bit of a size comparison, these guys are quite small. So first off, there is a standard sized SH Figuarts. Let's Xeon that up a bit for the theme of this video. There it is beside a Figma, and if that means nothing to you, there it is side by side with a high grade Gundam. So as far as I know, they're 3.9 inches tall, in and around. So first up on the block is ZEON Soldier number 1. So this is the more leaner guy. He's rocking a helmet so he doesn't get his coconut cracked in the field, and a pair of goggles to protect those peepers. I'll also mention that compared to the other guy that we get in here, or the girl, this guy does have a dark neck. I'm guessing he's wearing some kind of bodysuit or something. And for the most part, the paint apps on here are quite clean. It does get a little bit messy on the neck there. This will differ from figure to figure as usual, but I will mention once again, these are quite small, so it is usual to see that kind of minor screw up on something this small. On the whole though, looking awesome and looking very Zeonic. So next up in here then we've got ZEON Soldier number 2, and this guy looks like he's fond of the pints, not so fond of the razor. No goggles this time, but we do have that very Zeon looking helmet. And I was wrong the last time, this guy actually does have a painted neck as well that is in a dark brown, must be part of the uniform. And as far as I can see, for the most part, all of the paint apps on this particular figure is perfect, so it must have just been a little bit of a flub on the other guy's neck. All I can describe this guy as is a little bit Rambo-Ral-esque. Now on to the next one. So finally then on to number 3 of this ZEON squad, and that of course is the girl. So I definitely have to hand it to MEGAHOUSE for not just kind of rehashing the bodies of the guys for this particular figure to take the cheap route out, and for the most part it does look really good. However, I do feel like the joints up in the shoulders are a lot more apparent in this particular design than the other 2. Besides that though, it does look great. Once again, all the paint apps on here are pretty much perfect, so I guess now it's time to check out those accessories. So now moving on to the accessories, and here is ZEON Soldier 1 with absolutely everything that it comes with, and there's quite a bit in this little box. Let's check them out one by one. So the first thing that we've gotten here is a bunch of pouches, a holster, and a grenade for on that belt. These are technically optional, but I'm sure you won't want those holes there the whole time, so you kinda may want to cover those up. That right there is what he looks like with those attached, but there are 2 more holes around on the back if you want to pop them round there instead. Next up in here then we've got an alternate face, which is blonde hair, and what I can only describe as a bit of a poker face expression. In order to attach this on, you need to pull off the top of the head, and while I'm at this, I might as well stick on the harness that also has that sleeping blanket, because that also requires taking off the head and the arms and popping it on over the top of the body. The arm back on, other arm back on, and then on with the head. Simple as that. So anyway, there's a bit of a look at the second face. I'll put that up side by side with the first face so you can get a bit of a comparison. Definitely changes the feel of the figure completely. And now we also have that harness on with that blanket round back, which can be detached, by the way. And speaking of which, you can also remove the helmet from the other head, which is pretty cool, so you can pose it with the little figure, like so, of him staring up at the stars, wondering if he really is fighting for himself, or just the flawed ideology of a bunch of other greedy men. But then he realizes that he's been banished to space with the rest of his people and denied what is rightfully his, which is to return and live on his ancestral homeworld, a right that cannot be denied. So he takes that weapon holding hand, picks up that rifle, and is getting ready to slay some fetties. So as for the weapons we do have in here, we've got this long rifle with a scope, what looks to be a machine gun, and a pistol. As for the other accessories, instead this harness right here, or this cross body belt. Once again, this does change it up quite a bit, so it looks like a completely different dude. As for the other accessories we have in the box, these 2 things right here are for combining with the stuff from the other boxes in order to make that machine gun. The little ammo case right here with the ZEON symbol on the side can open up, and we've got a few rounds inside. Lastly, I will mention some of the downsides of this figure. 1, the hands are very, very delicate, so yes, that does mean I broke one. The ball joints of the wrists are really stuck in there, and the hands themselves are very, very delicate. This isn't a permanent break, thankfully, it just kind of strained out past the metal joint, but I will recommend be very, very careful with these. The other down point is the way that the little pouches and stuff attach onto that pliable lower section of the uniform. It means they just kind of pop off all the time with next to no touch. So once again, you're gonna have to use a delicate touch with these guys. So now moving on to ZEON Soldier number 2, and here it is with absolutely everything it comes with. So there's a couple of things in here that we would have seen before with the other ZEON Soldier 1, which would be the hands, exactly the same. Pistol, machine gun, also exactly the same. The belt and some of the pouches are the same as well, so we're gonna give those a skip. So as for what this guy is rocking on his belt, it's 75% the same as before. The only thing new is that water canteen right there on the right hand hip. Once again, we've got a harness, this time dad bod friendly. Attaches on exactly the way that it did before, and while I'm doing this I might as well throw on the alternate head. There's a good look at that, and there's a side by side of what the original one looked like compared to this one. Once again, you can make 2 different soldiers with this particular set. As for what is different in here, the only different weapon we have is the shotgun, and around on the back there instead of a blanket, this guy has got a land mover, which I assume, by the looks of things, is a jetpack. I will also mention that we have 2 different types of weapon holding hands. We've got this one this guy has right here, which has the joint aligned so the hand can flex in and out like so, and one like we saw here on this guy, which allows the weapon to move up and down like that. So that is pretty cool. They have the choice of either or. Lastly then, here we've got the tripod for making the machine gun that requires all 3 sets, and speaking of all 3 sets, let's move on to the last one. So anyway, moving on to ZEON Soldier 3, and here she is with absolutely everything she comes with. Once again, we've seen some of this before, so we'll skip past that. So as for what we saw before, it's that grenade, that pouch, that machine gun, and the hands. So anyway, first off, there she is with that body belt thingamajigger, and speaking of thingamajiggers, I've no idea what that thing on her belt is meant to be. So we've got the pouch that we would have seen before, just one of them this time, and whatever the hell that is. Are they some kind of bottles? Ammo? Explosives? I have no clue. So once again in here we've got a harness. In order to pop that on, you just pop off the arms and the head, throw it on like so, and speaking of head, we do have an alternate head in here, which is that helmeted version, so it isn't just a hair swap or anything like that, it is a full, unique head. Last up then, we've got that communications backpack, which pops onto her back, just like so. The next unique item we have in here is a pair of binoculars, which is pretty cool. And lastly, we finally get that machine gun, at least the business part of the machine gun, for finishing off the machine gun. So that's that tripod. The machine gun itself, open up this part, pop in the ammo belt, and then just slide the old ammo canister in like so. And finally, there we go. Machine gun is complete, and looking pretty good too. So now finally moving on to the articulation, and I have to say, these are quite expressive for such small little figures. I am actually surprised. At the neck it is a double ball joint, so he can look up like that, look down like so, head side to side. There's a lot going on in that shoulder joint, so he can raise his arm up quite high, fully rotated up top. The elbow on here is double jointed, so we get one hell of a bend. And the wrists are a combination of a ball joint and a hinge. As for an ab crunch, there he is right in the middle. We've got a very nice bend to the front and an incredibly nice bend to the back. I will mention though that this guy isn't quite as limber, but still is quite, well, never mind, he can bend back quite a bit. As for the kicks, there it is all the way up to the front, so it could be a little crazier than that. There it is out to the back, so, well, I wouldn't do much better myself, honestly. Can he pull off the splits? Not a bother on him. And we've got full rotation then at the upper leg, right there. As for the knee, that is double jointed, just like the arm. At the ankle, he can bend all the way forward like so, all the way back like that. So that is pretty nice. And we've got enough ankle pivot in here to get some nice dynamic stances. We also have a bend at the toe down here as well, which is a very nice addition to such a small scale figure. So yeah, once again, I've been taken completely by surprise by just how poseable these little small scale guys are. You can get pretty much anything you want out of them. They're a whole lot of fun. And what can I say? I totally love these and can't wait for the Fetty ones. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and there's not really much to sum up here, so these are small scale little military dudes for just playing around with. They've got that awesome ZEON flair, they come with a bunch of cool accessories, all the accessories can be used between each one, so if you want to stick any of the backpacks on any of the other figures like you're seeing right here, you can do that. You can buy 2 of each one and have 6 completely unique looking dudes because of the 2 different heads per each one. So yeah, at the end of the day, if you love Gundam, you will adore these. It's just so cool to have some generic military Gundam guys just to play around with. I will most definitely be doing a video on the Federation ones when they come out, and even though I know the whole point of this is to be just generic background soldiers, I would love to see some main characters as well, like Char, Amuro, and of course, Ramba. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla. This isn't gunpla. Figure reviews, maybe. Either way, I'll see you next time. As usual, I cannot end this video without all my thanks to all of you who support me on the channel memberships, as well as over on Patreon, including Craig Jerry, Tyler Sanders, the Ambassador for Asymmetric Cats, Caleb Engelhart, and Sean T.